What's up guys, I'm Matt and this is MotoWorks. In today's video we're going to go over the steps it takes to change the oil in a motorcycle. Now for some this might seem like a difficult task and hopefully I can make it a nice, simple, easy process so that you yourself can change oil in your own motorcycle. Let's get started. Oil pan, pair of gloves, ratchet. We're going to be using a 17mm socket today. That's the only socket we need for this. Rag, some oil, and of course the filter. First thing we're going to want to do is get this temperature up, and really I like to wait till that fan cycles. Okay, now that we're under here, we first want to locate both the oil filter housing, located right here, as well as locate the oil drain bolt for the engine, which is located right here. Okay. Now, this is just a standard bolt, so we'll just make sure we're going lefty-loosey. We'll loosen this bolt. Put our gloves on. The oil will be hot, so we first want to get some gloves on there. Don't want to get hot oil all over our hands. And we'll just loosen that drain bolt there. We'll let that fall into the pan if we can't catch it. Main thing, you don't want to get hot oil on your hands. So we'll just pull that out quickly. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. We're going to loosen this oil filter housing. Same thing, lefty-loosey. Just loosen that. Sometimes these are pretty tight, so beware of that. And then for this, we're just going to let that drain a while. We'll crack it loose. There's oil in the housing, so we'll just let that oil drain out. Okay, now that that's slowed down a bunch, we can now loosen this. This should just be hand tight. Okay. All right, let's take this over to the bench. Okay, let's go over the assembly of this oil filter, and I'll point out a few things along the way that you need to be mindful of. Okay, so let's take it apart. I can tell you right now that that is incorrect. Alright, now as you saw when I took this apart, I said that this wasn't assembled correctly. Now let me go over the assembly process of this, because I've done tons of oil changes on this style with the paper element, and it's 50-50 guys. I see it correct 50% of the time and incorrect the other 50% of the time. The way these are assembled is, well, number one, there's a little O-ring that goes around the bolt that tightens everything down. Then that bolt goes through this cover. Make sure that that seats in there nice and tight. The next part is the spring. Then this is always missed. Either it's installed incorrectly, as you saw when I took this apart. They had it on top of here, which is not where it goes. Or more commonly what happens is, since the next part to go on is this washer, all that washer does is it keeps this spring from doing what it was starting to do here, and that is digging into this seal here. Now, I've seen where this spring completely goes inside here, and that's not good. But that's what this washer is designed to do. It's designed to just block that spring and prevent it from digging into your oil filter. Okay, when you have that on there correctly, that sits on there like that, and then this cover kind of seals the deal. The O-ring itself goes back in this groove here. That pops in there, like so. And then this whole unit now then threads back into the motorcycle. Okay, what happens is, as you can see, that metal washer oftentimes sticks to this filter. Guys or gals that service this don't know that. They just throw it out, grab their new kit, and in the kit you get a filter. Doesn't matter which kit it is, they will always include a filter, and then a variety of O-rings, both thick and thin, for this plate, and then the tiny O-ring for this bolt. Okay, that's all that comes in the kit. This washer does not come in this kit. So when you're doing this, make sure that number one, it was installed correctly, and number two, make sure it's not stuck to the old filter, because that's what'll happen. It'll get stuck. You'll throw that away. You'll go to put your new one on. Then that spring will start digging into this oil filter, and it can cause problems down the road. Okay, so we're gonna get this all set up, and then we're gonna put it back in the motorcycle. Now we have this assembled. Let's go put it back on the motorcycle. It has this spin-on cap here, right here. This is the oil fill cap. Now a lot of times these become very stuck, and the first tool most people will go for is a pair of pliers. And pliers will work. If this is all you have is a pair of pliers, it'll work. I never recommend using pliers, because a lot of times these are either a very brittle metal or they're plastic, and these gnarled teeth here really dig in and actually mess that up. It looks like somebody had used pliers before. What I always recommend using is some type of smooth edge, so an adjustable wrench works well on this. And all you do is just put your adjustable on there. And all you have to do is just break it loose. All you do is breaking that seal loose. So just turn it, maybe a quarter turn. Okay, so we need oil. Again, read on the back, make sure it's for a motorcycle. This is good. It's the same as this stuff here. So we'll fill this up. Okay, again, this only holds 2 quarts of oil, so we're not going to go crazy. This has a sight window down here, so as I fill this, I can keep an eye on the sight window and make sure I don't put too much oil in. If you do end up putting a little bit too much in, it's okay, because we still have to run the engine, and the oil filter itself will suck up some of that oil. So it's okay to put a little bit more in. You don't want to go way too much, but a little bit overfilled isn't that bad. It looks like we're a little bit overfilled. I'll start it up and you'll see that will drop down there, and then we'll check it again after we let it run for a few minutes. The other thing we want to make sure is that this light goes out. This is the oil pressure light, so that should go out. Saw it all disappeared from the sight window, so we'll fill that up and right up to that upper line there. That looks good. We'll run the bike one more time. Make sure that everything's filled up with oil that needs to be, and then we'll come back and we'll recheck it once more, and if it all checks out, then this is good. Job well done. Okay, after you've run the bike, you want to make sure that you're checking that there's no oil leaking from any of these places that you just changed out. So we want to make sure that that O-ring's sealing nice and tightly, both the one on the bolt as well as the one that goes around this plate. And you also want to check and make sure that your drain bolt's not leaking, because if you look, right there's your back tire. So very important that we tighten these down to the proper torque spec. And after we're done and we run the bike, we make sure that there's no oil leaking either down on the stand or from any of these spots that we just changed, because you don't want to get oil on that back tire. So this looks nice and dry. Let it run a little bit. Got up to operating temperature. Oil level is looking good. Okay, just follow those steps and you too can change oil in your own motorcycle. It's going to save you a couple dollars. It'll get you, get your hands dirty on your motorcycle. And as you saw, there's nothing crazy or really critical that needs to be done on this. Just knowing how things go together and putting together in the proper way. Those things are going to help you. Using the correct oil for your bike. Again, knowing what style motorcycle you have, whether it's a dry clutch or a wet clutch. If you like the video, make sure to give it smash that like button. Subscribe. We have a bunch more how-to videos coming up in the future. This bike here, I'm going to have to put a turn signal on. I don't know if you saw that in the video, but this is going to need a turn signal, and I'm going to have to do a short little video on how to replace turn signal on a bike just such as this. But thanks for watching. Again, I'm Matt. This is MotoWorks. We'll see you in the next video.